I call to order this regular meeting of the Board of Public Works this Wednesday, June 18th of 2025. First up on our agenda, we have messages from board members. Do we have any messages from the board this evening? Next is petitions and remonstrances. If anyone is in attendance and would like to make a public comment about something not on the agenda, now is the opportunity to do so. If anyone has joined us on Zoom, you can use the chat or the raised hand function. If you're here in council chambers with us, you can approach the microphone. All right, seeing none. Next, we have the consent agenda. Under the consent agenda, we have noise permit for Mother Hubbard's Garden Gala, Resolution 2025-043, surplus of items to Centerstone from DPW, Resolution 2025-044, ITS surplus to Technology Recyclers LLC, Resolution 2025-042, 4th Street Festival, Resolution 2025-047, Tuesday Farmers Market, Resolution 2025-048, Saturday Farmers Market. Resolution 2025-049, Banneker Block Party. Resolution 2025-050, Witch Fest. Approve public improvement bond estimate for Woodburn Avenue subdivision. Approve service agreement with Premier Painting for facilities. Approve service agreement with Humphreys for facilities. Approve service agreement with HFI for plumbing for facilities. Approve service agreement with HFI for HVAC for facilities. Approve service agreement with Soft Touch Moving for facilities. Approve service agreement with Bruce Overhead Door for facilities. And approval of payroll. Do we have any items that need to be removed from the consent agenda? All right. Do we have any public comments on anything within the consent agenda? All right. Seeing none. Is there a motion on the consent agenda?
I move that we approve the consent agenda for tonight's meeting of June 18th, 2025.
All right, and I second. I will call the roll. Crone?
Aye.
Cox-Deckard, aye. Motion passes. Next, we have new business. First under new business is approved change order packet 2 for Winslow Rogers resurfacing project.
Again, this is for the Winslow resurfacing project. The packet contains change order number 4 and number 5. The first one, change order number 4, is for additional linear foot of signpost that was not originally part of the project, but we need to bring the linear foot in. It was mismeasured, so we're just adding the signpost there. The second one, change order number 5, is a little bit more in-depth. They created a curb ramp and installed it per PROAG, the contractors did, but with doing that, the edge of the curb ramp is 7.5 inches higher than the road surface. So what we were doing is removing curb and gutter and actually lifting a inlet that's there as well to get a more gradual slope down farther to the south on the stands there at the stands and Rogers Road. This will give a nice smooth elevation to the roadway and more, instead of just a jaunt right there. It'll smooth it out. Milestone has agreed to take some of that work on themselves. The change order is simply for the city of Bloomington's part of this. And I'm here for I'm sorry. The additional charge was $36.06 for both of those together, bringing the new contract price to $1,406,067,094. And again, I'm here for any questions if need be.
Thank you. Questions on this item? Any public comments on this item? All right, seeing none, is there a motion?
I move that we approve change order packet 2 for Winslow Rogers resurfacing project.
And I second. I will call the roll. Crone?
Aye.
Cox-Deckard, aye. Motion passes.
Thank you.
Next is approved road and lane closure for utility work for Hub 2 development.
Trying to get some other permits out here. Okay, apologies. Kyle Ball Engineering. So Reed and Sons is requesting some closures for the Hub 2 development. These closures include road closure on North Lincoln Street from the 1303 address to the 1355 address, a road closure on North Washington Street from the 1311 address to the 1317 address, and then a lane shift on the westbound lane of East 17th, so that would be adjacent to the 219 East 17th address. These are being requested to do some capping of the sanitary system. So these wouldn't happen concurrently. They would be staged, I believe, working from Washington first, and then to Lincoln, and then finally to 17th Street. And they are requesting these to occur on July 7th of this year to July 30th of this year. So we would be looking at weekday closures for these. And happy to take any questions if there are any.
Thank you. Questions from the board?
Weekday closures, meaning they'll be reopened for weekends?
Yes, that's their intent, to open them nightly.
Nightly,
And, if there's any street cut that they have there, they're going to fill them or cap them with a steel plate, so they'll be passable.
Thanks.
They're also working with the individual property owners to maintain access or make other arrangements for those tenants if there are any in those affected property areas.
And for the lane shift on 17th, does that mean traffic is moving through just at a shifted angle, or are they doing flagging, or what are they doing with that?
I know we need to get standard terms for these. So that'll be a lane closure that would be flagged for both directions, east and
Okay,
west.
all right. Any other questions? Any public comments on this item? All right. Is there a motion?
I move that we approve road and lane closure for utility work for Hub 2 development.
And I second. I will call the roll. Crone?
Aye.
Cox Deckard, aye. Motion passes.
Thank you.
Next is approved contract with Evans Time for parking garages maintenance.
Hello, Jess Goodman, parking garage manager. This contract is for is a service maintenance agreement with Evans Time. Is for all the parking gate equipment in all garages. This will cover the equipment inspections, software updates, parts, network support, and the PCI compliance support. The amount is $58,633.84.
Thank you. Questions on this item? Any public comments on this item? All right, seeing none, is there a motion?
I move that we approve the contract with Evans Time for parking garage maintenance.
And I second. I will call the roll. Crone?
Aye.
Cox Deckard, aye. Motion passes.
All right, thank you.
Thanks. Next is revocation of contract with Wise Building Solutions for the installation of ADA ramps.
Good evening, Adam Mason, on behalf of Joe Van Diepen, our Street Operations Director. So this is a revocation of an award for the City of Bloomington Street Division that we awarded to Wise Building Solutions to do construction of 27 ADA ramps throughout the downtown and various locations. We awarded it May 5th, 2025, and it was determined in early June that the contractor would not be able to perform the work under the contract on the original timeline that was agreed upon. So we've mutually agreed with the contractor to revoke this award and request your approval of that revocation.
Thank you. Questions from the board on this item? Any public comments on this item? None on Zoom. All right, seeing none, is there a motion?
I move that we approve the revocation of contract with Wise Building Solutions for the installation of ADA ramps.
And I second. I will call the roll. Crone?
Aye.
Cox Deckard, aye. Motion passes. Next is approved contract with Groomer Construction for installation of ADA ramps.
And let me just correct something I said. I said downtown in the last staff report for those ADA ramps. They're actually not downtown. They're more on the south side and west side. So this next contract to award to Groomer Construction is the same project that we did the revocation on. When we did the original RFQ packets for this, we had submissions from Wise, which we revoked, Groomer Construction at $97,493.12, Milestone at $114,290, and Weddle at $141,741, and EMB Paving did not provide a response. So we worked with the legal department to get approval to go with the second best bid on this one and award this to Groomer Construction to do the 27 accessible ramps. And this is down on South Pine Meadows and Pinehurst, Hoosier Street and Walnut, Sunny Slopes Drive, Berks, and Kennedy, mainly in the southwest quadrant of the city. So we request your approval in the amount not to exceed $97,493.12 for Groomer Construction, Inc. Happy to answer any questions.
Thanks. Questions from the board on this item? Did Groomer indicate that everything could be kept as was originally
Yes,
bid and they didn't have
they've
any?
confirmed that their original bid would stand and that they can complete the work on a timeline that's acceptable to us.
Great. Any public comments on this item?
None on Zoom.
All right. Is there a motion?
I move that we approve the contract with Groomer Construction for installation of ADA ramps.
All right, I second. I will call the roll. Corone?
Aye.
Cox-Deckard, aye. Motion passes. Next, we have approve amendment to Resolution 2025-046, Bloomington Housing Authority Block Party.
So this was a previously approved right-of-way special event for the Family Night Out that BHA sponsors. Due to the weather, which we all just experienced, they have requested a reschedule to Friday. Normally, this is included in the original application, but it was an oversight in this application, so we're requesting approval to move it to Friday.
Any questions from the board on this item? Any public comments on this item? All right, seeing none, is there a motion?
I move that we approve the amendment to Resolution 2025-046, Bloomington Housing Authority Block Party.
All right, I second. I'll call the roll. Corone?
Aye.
Cox-Deckard, aye. Motion passes. Next, we have approved lane closure and sidewalk diversion for the main construction of the redevelopment of the Bloomington Convention Center.
Kyle Ball, Engineering again. So Weddle Brothers is requesting several closures as part of the Bloomington Convention Center redevelopment. The requested closures for Phase 1, which was going to be 7 phases in total, is a conversion of the southern eastbound lane of 3rd Street between Madison Street and College Avenue. So that would be converted to a right turn only. Parking lane reservations on the east side of College Avenue between 3rd Street and Smith Avenue. Closure of the southern eastbound lane of 3rd Street between College Avenue and Walnut Street. And then closure of the left turn lane along Walnut Street between 3rd Street and Smith Avenue. So these are being requested to place pedestrian diversions along the east side of College Avenue, south side of 3rd, and the west side of Walnut Street. This request is to accommodate site work necessary for the Bloomington Convention Center project. The traffic controls that they're requesting would be in place from January 27th of this year through January 23rd of 2026. And just for full disclosure, we do expect other permits for smaller closures that might be needed during this phase as well. But we'll tackle those as they come in. And then Andrew Sear. Oh, sorry, January 23rd of 2026 would be the end date, June of this year, 27th. Sorry. Really wordy on this one. Andrew Sear, am I pronouncing that correct? Share, is here. He's the project manager for Weddle Brothers, and I believe he'll be presenting an overview of the entirety of the project. Is that correct? Okay. Don't want to commit you to anything, involuntarily. So he should be able to answer any detailed questions you might have.
Thank
Thanks.
I'll jump in here real quick and just. Sorry, Adam Wason, Public Works. I'll jump in here real quick before Andrew takes the podium and just say that we've been working very closely with all of the partners in this project. What we've recognized is this is a project about partnership. I've mentioned in several meetings recently, you know, my first meetings about convention center expansion date back to 2006, 2007. We're finally at a point where this project is getting built, and it involves a lot of partners. It involves city government, involves county government, involves the volunteer-appointed Capital Improvement Board, the CIB. It involves Weddle Brothers as the main general contractor. It involves Schmidt & Associates as the main architect and designer. Local firms like Bledsoe, Riggert, Cooper, James on civil engineering and site work. So there's a lot of players in this. The CIB also has an owner's rep company named JS Held with staff that are assisting the CIB. So we've been really trying to all work together, knowing that this is a complicated project that's going to have major impacts on the downtown. So thank you to Weddle, and thank you to Bill Riggert and his team over at BRCJ, and everybody that was willing to get together and really hash out a lot of the details and who's going to be needed for communications going forward and all of that. So I'll turn it over to Andrew. He's going to give just a high level what it's going to look like over the next couple years as they build this. So thank you, Andrew.
Yeah, thank you. Andrew Sherry, project manager at Weddle Brothers. What you're seeing on the screen here is our phase 1 plan. This is basically our default MOT plan. It'll have, again, a lane closure of the turning lane on Walnut, the southbound lane closure on 3rd Street, or southernmost lane on 3rd Street, and then the parking areas over on College. This will allow us to do our site demolition, have our safety parameters with a 5-foot walk around. There are 5 different plans to be implemented throughout this project, 7 different phases, so a couple plans will line up a couple different times. We'll have a couple different closures to South College for a connector from the existing building to the new building. We're trying to limit those for the detours that would be needed for that. But again, this would be our default here. The Walnut side theoretically should never change until the end of the project. Very, very limited over there. There will be a couple changes on 3rd Street, potentially next summer, to allow for some detector loops to be remediated, medians to change. There'll be some work on the existing convention center side, some new curbs, new sidewalks, things like that. That'll have that down to a single lane, but for the most part, both lanes will be open on South College. So again, very broad view here, but the most critical one is the one we see here. This is one that we want to implement at the end of this month after we break ground, and then we won't have any changes until potentially late January of 2026.
And can you tell us what the total length of the project that you all are working with?
Yeah, so it's a 2-year project, but 6 months of that will be in 2027 renovations to the existing convention center. Okay. The MOT plans that we see here will be 1.5 years. So this should be done December 31st of 2026.
And I know we had talked, I think, quite a bit at the last meeting about pedestrian walkarounds, and that's implemented in this plan.
Yeah.
So pedestrians will still be able to
Yeah.
pass through the area without much change. I'm curious about the left turn lane on Walnut. Is there anything special that we're going to do? Are we just, traffic's going to turn left from that open lane?
Traffic will then just, and we've had that configuration recently when we constructed the 4th Street parking garage, where that left turn lane for northbound Walnut was closed. And so the center,
second in from.
Yes. The second lane from the western edge there would serve as a turn lane and a through lane.
Okay.
And then I was just going to add, and that's to accommodate the walk-around for the sidewalk that'll be closed along Walnut. So there will be several areas of the walk-arounds being in the actual roadway to accommodate all of the pedestrian usage. And we had a really good, robust conversation about how important it is with the pedestrian facilities and making sure those are accessible at all times. Talked a lot about how, we really need to keep the visually impaired, the mobility challenged with, as the focus of, as these get implemented and everybody's on board to make sure we do everything we can. Talked a lot about how we have residents that will monitor this site for compliance with Title 12. And so everybody, is on board to make sure we can do the best we can with this whole project. We talked a lot about football season because, last football season was kind of a big deal, and we expect that again. But the good news is that the one-lane configuration of southbound College will not occur during football season. So that's a plus.
Yep.
This year or next.
Okay, I know it's a little crazy to think about snow when it's supposed to
no,
be
it's
95
not.
degrees, but if one of the lanes will be a pedestrian walk-around, is the adjacent property owner responsible for clearing snow in that lane for pedestrians as if it was the sidewalk? Or is it the street crew who would be
No.
responsible?
So with this right-of-way permit, so if there was snow buildup in the pedestrian walk-arounds that are required as part of this project, that would be for the contractor or CIB to so it would be a contractor responsibility at that point in time to keep those pedestrian facilities open.
So not the adjacent property owner to the sidewalk and not, it's no longer street travel at that point, okay.
Right. And that would be part of the permit requirements. And it's, we spoke about snow because the 2-week period of the full closure of College that will come to you eventually, that request will come to you in a subsequent meeting. That's going to be in the middle of January. So we'll be detouring College over to Rogers at that point in time, which requires, if we'll be cognizant of snowfall at that point in time and making sure that we're trying to accommodate the best we can. We also, just as an FYI to the board, are making sure that we are in very close and good communication with the Hopewell project as well. Good news is JS Held is part of both projects right now, and so we're going to make sure we are paying attention to the potential conflicts that could come with the Second Street reconstruction project that is forthcoming with a new signal and roadway improvements to Second Street. So making sure that if the detour to Rogers for the convention center project isn't going to detour to a closed road. We'll be thinking about those sorts of things as we move forward here. But
And then this is a city question. How are things going with the repair of the railing on the sidewalk up to the B line?
not good. They're still waiting for the anchoring system for It has not been rebuilt yet. We're still waiting on a final timeline of when some of the parts that are required for that repair actually get to the contractor. So they know it's a high priority. We've posted signage, we've got all the detours in place, but somebody keeps ripping down the signage that we put up explaining why it's not repaired yet, so.
That's too bad.
Yeah.
Yeah, because that'll help, once that is open, when
Yep.
we have a lot happening
Yes.
there along the existing
Very
convention center
cognizant. So
building.
we're hoping, so.
Very good. Other questions about this?
Yeah, please, Chris, jump on up.
Yeah, if you can just introduce yourself.
Chris Cioli, I'm with Water Brothers as well. One thing I just wanted to communicate or emphasize is that through this process, we understand that it's going to be inconvenient to a lot of people. So we're going to do our best to use social media to push out notices when there be traffic changes or any sort of modifications to the system. Also, make sure that we have proper signage for, if there are concerns or complaints, communication that need to come in, that the city is not getting inundated with those issues, that they come to us first. If they pertain directly to the job site or the construction, our team will deal with it. If it's something that needs to go to the owner, whether it's CIB then we'll communicate that to JS Held. But we're going to do our part to, I think Adam said, possibly use the city's Facebook page to push some of that stuff out.
Yep.
We'll use what we have available. We know that there are other publications that get pushed out as well. So we'll use the resources that are available as these changes come up to make sure that it's communicated clearly, well in advance. That way people aren't caught off guard, and there's plenty of notice as this happens. So I think that's important to, at least we've discussed that.
Yep.
We know how significant it will be.
Yep. I actually spoke with the CIB chair, John Wycart, I think, chair, I think is his title, and with JS Held about that today, and they're hopefully going to, JS Held will hopefully assist with coordinating all of that information so that all of the parties can disseminate it through the channels that they can. So we'll work through, news releases, media releases, things like that.
That's great. So we certainly encourage all city residents to follow City of Bloomington
Yep.
on social media. Is there a suggestion that we encourage people to follow Weddle Brothers, JS Held, some of those other entities as well, or everything should funnel through?
We're working through on that right now, on which pages we're going to identify, whether it's the convention center's Facebook page, Chamber of Commerce, DBI, Downtown Bloomington Inc. We'll identify as many of those and ask that our partners share the information as well.
Great, thank you.
I'll work on the former communications director in me and try to,
Draft up that plan.
yeah.
All those.
Although that was pre-social media, thank goodness.
Yeah, now there's lots of posts to draft. Yeah, well, I appreciate all the partners collaborating on this. It is a major project. It's an important project. It is one of those positive things that happens when you have a community that people want to visit. So it's an exciting project, and I'm looking forward to the continued collaboration to get through it as smoothly as possible. Of course, there are going to be some headaches and some hiccups here and there that we'll have to work through, but I feel confident that with all of the partners involved, we'll get through that process and maintain a good partnership. All right. Any public comments on this item?
None on Zoom.
Seeing none, is there a motion?
I move that we approve the lane closure and sidewalk diversion for the main construction of the redevelopment of the Bloomington Convention Center.
And I second. I will call the roll. Carone?
Aye.
Cox-Deckard, aye. Motion passes. Next up, we have staff reports and other business.
All right, Adam Wason again, Public Works Director. Just make everyone aware, right now, it's Wednesday, June 18th, about 5:58 p.m. We've had some storms roll through Bloomington and Monroe County. It looks as though Duke Energy's got about 5,000 customers out on their outage map right now. And Utilities District of Western Indiana has about 1,000 out, so major power outages throughout the area. Appreciate all the work of the linemen and emergency responders that I'm sure are out there trying to do the good work to get everybody back up and running. Just a couple other quick notes for the board. Appreciate the conversation about the convention center, a lot there. Want to note that we did with Grand Falloon and the special event there, worked very closely with IU and Gerard and their team as they were making decisions about how to handle the weather that was coming in during Grand Falloon. Unfortunately, they had to move that inside and limit attendance at the Buskirk Chumley, but overall response was that it went as well as it could, and people were still excited to be able to attend and see those amazing artists. So thanks to Cassie, Orney, and Gerard over at IU. Everybody was in good communication for that. Otherwise, we have a busy summer of construction and paving and all of the things going on. So had a really productive staff meeting this morning talking about a lot of things that we have going on. We'll head into budget season here in July and August. So we're going to have some trying times with the budgets and some cuts that are forthcoming, but we'll give the board an overview as we get a little closer to that.
Very
Happy
good.
to answer any questions if you have any.
Thank you. All right, next up is approval of claims. Are there any questions on the claims? Any public comments on claims?
None on Zoom?
All right, seeing none, is there a motion?
I move that we approve claims this evening in the amount of $4,118,712.56.
And I second. I will call the roll. Corone?
Aye.
Cox Deckard, aye. Motion passes. And as there is nothing else on our agenda, I will call for adjournment.